and welcome to another Outsider Reviews. My name is Pat, and I got Luke, Big Country, behind the camera. Speaking of Big Country, Cataline over there, big workhorse over here. Ram 2500, heavy duty, high output, Cummins turbo diesel engine, inline 6. So a lot of people are saying, you know, that's on its way out, thing of the past. Well, it's not, and they made it better this year. At first glance, this is one of the meanest looking truck in the business. That's my opinion. Put your opinion down in the comment section. That's where yours belongs. But this is the Laramie with a sport appearance package. So yes, the hood scoop over here, non-functional, is part of that sport appearance package. But what's really important is underneath that hood. When I talked about that Cummins turbo diesel engine, inline 6, puts out 430 horsepower, 1,075 pound-feet of torque via a 8-speed transmission. Gone is the 6-speed. It's gone. Say bye-bye to that, you know, jerkiness within the first few gears. Sometimes looking for a gear, can't seem to find it, and it seems to want to twerk for some reason. 8-speed transmission, a whole new ball game, and I'll dive into that when I'm behind the wheels, and we're going to film that POV so you can see everything about it. Speaking of seeing everything about it, everything here is LED, and the tow hooks are not red, but you can still get recovered, even though that bothers kind of Luke. Luke likes to see the flashy red tow hooks. It wouldn't look good if it was. It wouldn't blend in. But let's go around the truck over here. As I talked about the chrome wheels, so we got the Firestone's Transforce AT2. So these are not snowflake rated tires. They are mud and snow, as you can see here, or you may not be able to see here, but not snowflake rated, and that's gonna make a big difference on these icy right here. This is like ice country roads, so the handling, keep that in mind, okay? Even though in this province vehicles are required to have snow tires, but because this is a heavy vehicle, so it's plated heavy under a different category, it's not legally required to have snow tires, which is why the press vehicle that we have today doesn't have them. I strongly recommend you do put snow tires on there, because this is not a dually. It doesn't have twice the amount of traction out here in the back. So that will be my recommendation. I'll talk a little bit more about it, but we have the 20-inch rims, wheels here. So yeah, that's just my takeaway. Definitely go with snow tires. I've been driving it all week, and that would be my takeaway from just drivability. But otherwise, it is a nice looking tire. Going on with the rest is we do have 360 camera. We have one in the front, and we have one right here in this big mirror. Luke, take a look at that mirror. It's got everything you need to see around it. And one of the cool features is that when you activate your turn signal, it actually shows up on your panel that there's a camera showing your blind spot. So that's pretty cool as well. We got approach, lock, and unlock. So I press the button to lock it. I stick my hand in it to unlock it. And we do have power running boards right here. One thing that Luke did make a comment on, and he's right, I see it, is that you basically have nothing protecting the running boards here, and that could cause a lot of slush buildup and some potential issues. So I would have liked to see a flap here, but there is none, or an extension of a plastic kind of mud flap, some kinds. So that's something that I would have liked to see. Diesel vehicle. So my fuel economy has been roughly So there's no advertised combined fuel economy here, both in the US, the EPA, and here in Canada, they don't really give you a forecast of the fuel economy. So my fuel economy on the highway was 13.8 liters per 100 kilometers. That translates to 17 miles per gallon. That's pretty decent. I was quite happy with those, and it was very windy, and this thing has the aerodynamics of a house. So that's at play here. And doing everyday driving, so mostly in the rural areas and stuff like that, but also a lot of warming up the vehicle, because one morning was minus 20. So diesel, you warm it up first, so it's a cold start, but you let it warm up. So it's going to affect the fuel economy, but my fuel economy was still at 15.9 liters per 100 kilometers at that point. So that'd be around 14.7 miles per gallon. I know you guys don't do point something in miles per gallon, but it's between 14 and 15 miles per gallon. That is my fuel economy. When it comes to the suspension, now standard, it will come with that regular coil suspension, really good at absorbing a lot of that rear solid axle kickback that you get, and with leaf springs kind of creates that bounce, and that way you get to preserve better contact patch in the back. But here in this case, we do have the auto leveling air suspension, so that's going to prevent a lot of that squatting when we're pulling something heavy, or if you have a gooseneck on or something like that. It's just going to enable it to stay leveled instead of giving you that squat. Coming out the back end, I do have a fancy little step here that you can just kick back and use. On that side though, I do not have the midpoint steps that some of the competition does offer. I think that would have been handy, but this one doesn't have it, so you just have to use the good old tire as a step in order to get back there. Coming into the, let me just kick this one back over there. Coming into the rear, here's your attachments for the trailer, and over here we have that auxiliary camera. What that enables you is you connect that, and that gives you a full 360. You know, I told you I have 360 camera. Well, that just adds the trailer to that full 360, making it very easy to basically tow around. Not only is your truck going to stay nice and leveled, because we do have the airbags underneath there, and it's also going to be able to very easily park it somewhere with that camera. I do have a dampened tailgate and a 6'4", so a standard bed back here. Payload is 2,882 pounds, I believe, and towing capacity is 20,000 pounds. I have one outlet over here to the side, as I'm going to use that higher step here to get around and show you the outlet, and of course spraying bed liner. These are all kind of options that you can play with the configurator. And if you're not sure what your vehicle has for payload, you can always rely on this nice handy sticker. So I'm going to double check. Yeah, 2,882 pounds. Okay, as we go into the back seat, we're looking at the door right now. Got some nice soft material all around the place, some nice faux wood as well, some leather. This is the Laramie effect that you have, and plenty of cargo down here. You guys also start seeing the speakers down here, part of that carbon sound system, which sounds really good. Now moving on to the seats, we do have some nice leather seats and some suede in there. Very well done. It's, you know, Ram does interiors very well. Everything is nice, soft, big, and comfortable. Also, if you lift these seats, and I'm going to lift that seat as well, pretty easy, does it? You have this little platform in order to have a completely flat, there we go, you just extend all these legs here, and now you have a completely flat floor. And you have the cup holder hole right here. So this could be pretty, you know, handy and useful, especially if you have dogs. I think that was where it would be kind of appreciated. Now, as I close it, and if you look underneath, that's another part. That's a subwoofer right here. I think if you don't have that, we probably would have some cargo space over there. Underneath that side, Luke, if you can show that over here. There you go. So you do have some cargo storage here, and I think that's what you would have if you didn't have the HK sound system add-on. So now let's go in and put the seats down. Before I do that, I have cup holders here, lots of cup holders, and I have a 115 volt outlet that I can open. Tri-prong, 2 USB-A's, 2 USB-C's. You can see it's heated, and you have your own ventilation over here. And this is the kind of storage that nobody really uses, as far as I'm concerned. Comment below if you do use it. Stepping in, whew, I'm 5'9". I have plenty of leg room. I got about 41 inches of leg room back here and plenty of headroom. I don't have a big panoramic sunroof. I have more speakers, and I just have the regular sunroof over in the front. Overall, very comfortable, and the hump is somewhat predominant and pretty wide. It is shortened over here, so you would put a kid on in the middle seat. Obviously, most of the people, I don't know if you would ever put 3 adults back here, but more cup holders. You do have a headrest for the middle person, but again, it's a lot shorter than it is on the sides. Overall, pretty comfortable, but I am close to the roof, so the seats are quite high up, and I am 5'9". I think I maybe have 1.5 inches left, or 2 inches of headroom. So that is, I'm kind of used to having more headroom than that in these trucks, or I think I do. Comment below. Let's go check out the front. Here we are in the captain's chair. Steering wheel heated, seats also heated. Very comfortable seats, just like in the back, sorry. Speaking of the door, I have a lot of buttonry over here. We got one touch up and down for the front windows, and I also have adjustments for the mirrors as well as telescopic adjustments, so that's very handy. I want to pay attention to, I'm going to turn on the turn signal here on right here. So this is what shows your blind spot, so that is pretty cool. You also have access to all your cameras as you do, and if I want to throw it in reverse, there you go. You got 360 cameras, and you can also add auxiliary cameras over here. You got tons of different angles and such. So definitely anything you want to see. Now you can see my gear in the bed, and this is where you would press for the attachment there, the auxiliary. All in all, good job. Big screen here, massive screen, but it depends on the configuration. You can either have the 8-inch screen, you can have the 10-inch screen, or you can have this massive tablet screen here as well, as that's where it changes all the controls. So depending on the configuration that you're going to do, you're either going to have conventional knobs and stuff for your HVAC, or if you have this big tablet, then you have the buttons over here. Personally, I think I would opt for maybe that 10-inch screen with the conventional knobs over here, but that's just going to become whatever you guys decide to do here in the configurator. There we go. So this is your HVAC settings here. You press that, and your temperature control. So we have dual climate zone temperatures over here, volume knob, and tuning knob here, as well as your, trailer brake controls over here. Moving on over this way, 2-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low, no diff lockers to speak of, no drive modes. This is where if you have a RHO or another 1500, the same kind of setup, is just you would have buttons over here to toggle through your drive modes. Moving on to the steering wheel, I do have advanced cruise control with this, and I have buttonry over here. I have a nice digital gauge cluster. Again, depending on your configuration, you can have an analog with a little piece in the middle that's digital. So it all depends what you guys are going to be shopping for, but this digital gauge cluster is highly customizable, and it gives you a ton of information that you can change what information you see in each of these, or you can just clear it up and have a simple screen. It's your choice, guys. So yeah, I do have rain sensing wipers. I do have auto high beams with this vehicle. Speaking of this vehicle, now starting price for this trim is around $89,000 Canadian, And this one configured as such is about $121,000 Canadian. So there's a lot of options here. There's the sport look of it, there's the convenience package of it, the Harman Kardon sound system, and having all the big screens. So it all depends what you want to get. And again, with the Laramie convenience package level 1, you get dual wireless chargers over here. I like this wireless charger. I like how it clamps down your phone, keeping it nice and in place. So you just shove your device here and it'll there you go, blue light turns on, that means it's charging. I got USB-A, USB-C auxiliary plug as well. Now RAM here also has that nice flowing, kind of like a center console here, where you can have spots for your change here. So I have a loonie right here in this spot, and then you can put your quarters and all that stuff. So that's kind of cool. So you don't have change loosely flying all over the place. You have cup holders as well. And underneath that, I have more storage. Now, if I push this all the way to the front and I open the center console, I have a nice flap here. Kind of shows the evolution of the Ram 2500. And if I flip it up, it becomes a little bit of a divider separating the stuff in here to the ones that's, well, underneath this portion over here. I also, plenty of storage over here. So again, depending on your configuration, you either have an enclosed one like this, or a flat open shelf, or a big LCD screen if you go top trim. I would probably not recommend that. I hear that these screens are kind of problematic. This is the setup I would go for personally. And you have your glove box. All in all, very comfortable. Going up top here, I do have my sunroof, which is probably causing why the headroom in the back is not as high. So this is all your buttons to adjust to open the sunroof, as well as your rear power sliding window. And I have my digital mirror over here. I personally like to use a conventional mirror because it gives me a better depth perception. But if you want to see more what's going on back there, that digital rear view mirror becomes quite handy. Over here, I do have some more storage, as well as another 12-volt outlet, typical here. And your Harman Kardon sound system. You can start seeing speakers basically everywhere you look. Overall, very nice interior. Comfort level is up there. And let's go for a drive. Now I've got my wireless Android Auto set up, and I turn my turn signal, and I can see my blind spot. But even if I couldn't, the mirror kind of shows that very well. Say hi to my neighbor, and let's go for a drive. Now I am in two-wheel drive, sorry, not too high. And I am not on winter tires, but the sheer weight of this vehicle makes it that you still have a better stance, and yeah, just a better stance altogether, and better traction because of the weight. Still, I'm going to recommend winter tires, because that back end still, if you want to go a little bit faster, it does tend to slid, and that's where you can go into a uncontrolled skid. And if you're in any kind of an incline and you're in two-wheel drive and you have to climb a hill that's covered like this, compact snow, which kind of acts as ice, yeah, good luck with that one. So I've had to throw it into 4-high pretty more often than not, especially coming back up. And we had quite a few snowstorms, so yeah, we had a couple this week, and temperatures went from, what was it? It was 4 degrees, so 4 Celsius one day, and then the next day, negative 25. So that was fun. Anyways, back to the vehicle. Driving it, and obviously I haven't floored it just yet. Right now we're just going to talk about the handling and such of just driving unweighted down. So no, I'm not pulling anything. I don't have anything for payload in the box that's heavy, but just driving every now and then. You know, you got your coil springs in the front, and if you have a regular trim that doesn't have the airbags in the back suspension, then you just have the coil springs. So the suspension is going to handle quite a lot different. It's going to limit a lot of that solid axle bounce back that you'll get. In this particular case, because of the airbag, it does feel a lot more rigid, but I'm still not getting that big bounce back that I would get from leaf spring. That's just my opinion. You guys comment below. I'm an outsider, so I don't usually drive a lot of heavy duty trucks, not like this guy with his dualies. Cool. And but that's just the feeling I'm getting. Overall comfort level, very comfortable. I am a wider person, so my shoulders are wide, so are my hips, so I don't like narrow seats with solid bolstering, and the Ram 2500 does not have that, which is good. So it's got a nice wider seating, and it's plush, it's very comfortable. Again, visibility, I've talked about these mirrors, absolutely love them, and along with the 360 camera with the turn signals that you activated. Another thing that I absolutely love, as I'm about to hit some dry patch here, let's give it a little bit of gas. So I just floored it, literally. I stuck my gas to the floor. It is not really loud. Some people actually prefer it to be a little bit louder, just to have that oomph, but it is not loud at all, especially for a 6.7 liter turbo diesel engine. It's very, very tame. Actually, the HVAC, the fan on, is actually louder than what I'm hearing back from the engine. Really cool. And I love seeing also that, I've talked about it, that sport trim hood scoop. There it goes. Yeah, it's really not loud at all. That is great. And as I'm flooring it, you can see now I'm just gonna play with the transmission. Let's test this 8-speed transmission a little bit. Put it accelerate a little bit. Making it, I'm trying to force it to look for the gear as I gently accelerate. Now I'm gonna decelerate. Let's go into the 50 kilometers an hour kind of angle. I think that's usually where about 1200 RPM. And yeah, no, really, there's nothing I can do that can make the transmission jump at all, as much as I'm trying to. At this point, I went from very weak acceleration to hard accelerations, and driving it all week, I haven't had this kind of issue. And yeah, nothing. It's just really good. As smooth as, and I'm a big fan of the 10-speed transmission, but however, we're seeing a lot of problematics around that right now. But that 10-speed is really smooth. It's just you don't want to have that worrisome about all the headaches they're having, whether it's upgrades they have to do, firmware and all that stuff. So having a new heavy duty 8-speed transmission to me might make somebody feel more at ease. I don't know, comment below if you tend to agree with that, if that 8-speed transmission is what you're looking for and you're trying to avoid the 10-speed transmission. But again, the 10-speed transmission is super smooth. I've always said it doesn't matter if it was a Ford or a GM, but obviously right now they're both kind of having issues, which makes the Ram probably a very good option, not just for that, but this screen that I'm looking at, that's nothing new. If you look at the gauge cluster, also nothing new. And not new is a good thing when you're talking about reliability. And let's face it, 6.7 liter Cummins, yeah, sure, it has a turbo, but still kind of gives you a little bit of a warmer, fuzzy feeling about reliability. Now the next step is I'm going to take this on the highway, show you some highway acceleration and also noise, vibration, sound, what it's like to drive it on the highway. Okay, as I'm making my approach towards the highway, which is over there, and just to let you know, I'm about to take a 3.5 hour drive just to go see my family. Yeah, I live far away from everybody. One other thing I absolutely love about, and I kind of take it for granted because my personal vehicle has that, so I kind of forget to mention it sometimes in some reviews, is the music select, skip and volume being behind the steering wheel here where my fingers are, absolutely key. One, it helps doing two things. It's very easy and to landmark with your fingers. They're right there. You can find them, skip the song, raise the volume, and all that stuff. Also, I am publishing a short video of the driving experience, and I do show how it sounds with the Harman Kardon. Hopefully it doesn't get killed off because for copyrights, but if you like Nirvana, definitely go check out that portion of the short video. And and it also, you know, declusters a little bit the button. Sometimes you'll see vehicles that have way too many buttons going on over here, and the fact that you have your music selection and volume behind the steering wheel just kind of helps alleviate some of that. Now, there's more traffic than expected. Also, I don't have any drive mode except for tow haul mode, and this Honda Civic's gonna cut me off. That's nice. Changing lane in an intersection is illegal, but he doesn't care. So I'm gonna slow down quite a bit so I can show you how it accelerates, because I'm not gonna be able to do that so much because Honda Civic boy here is going pretty slow. And 3, 2, 1, and go. It's so smooth. And before we run into that Honda Civic that cut us off, we're gonna apply some brakes. And as I switch in the left lane, here we go, blind spots being shown, mirrors show me all this text. So really makes driving this in the city just like driving at our vehicle, because you have so much control of and visibility of where the vehicle starts and ends, because you can see everything, whether via the cameras or just the mirrors. The mirrors alone are kind of doing that for you. Just the front may be hard to guess where it ends, but 360 camera will fix that for you. So definitely something that I recommend. Let's turn on advanced cruise control here. There you go. And set. Pretty easy to find because they got the raised buttons over here, so I know that up, down. Let's raise some kilometers here, and my distance should be at level 1. Yeah, so that is kind of a small, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's down there at the corner on the right side. Lane centering is not really a thing. You do have lane keep assist, so it will bounce you between lanes. It's not very I personally wouldn't I would prefer lane centering, and I do love that the Ram RHO that I test drive, it had a level 2 driving assist. I really want that to I wanted this vehicle to have that, but it doesn't, because the Ram's level 2 driving assist is actually really good. So it makes driving, you know, this 3.5 hour drive that I'm going to do effortless. But, you know, advanced cruise control still does a pretty good job. I'm not touching the pedals. I'm not touching anything except for the steering wheel. I'm just guiding it. And if I do decide to go off a little bit, I'll feel some vibration. And yeah, so it's kind of keeping me in there, so that's good. And it will vibrate to tell you that, hey, wake up, you're going over the line, and that's no bueno. So overall sound and noise or vibration or harshness on the highway is null and void. Not only is this engine not that loud,
speed trap reported ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna slow down for that. We got a speed trap up ahead. It's okay, we're already going below the speed limit, but I guess everybody wants to double check that and go even slower. Always a good thing, I guess. Yeah, the engine is a lot quieter than I expected, and the road noise is also the same. It's quite very pleasant to drive, very comfortable, very quiet, especially for a diesel. It was kind of unexpected for me. Otherwise, very easy to drive. I got great visibility, and my cruise control is set, so I'm gonna go on my 3.5 hour drive, and I'll see you guys in the conclusion.
Time to conclude. Let's wrap this up and tell you what I don't like about it. It was pretty hard. We had to confer about it, but we came up with
I don't like the chrome. So basically, if I was to configure this, I would choose like the blackout option, and perhaps maybe also a little bit of a mud flap here in the front. That's something that could definitely added aftermarket or whatnot, but I just think that it just kind of looks a little flimsy over here. I would like to have it go down a little bit more. But other than that, and these chrome wheels, everything that's chrome has got to go, in my opinion. But that's just a pressed vehicle. You can configure that, you can change that. And I know some people are not going to like the fact that it's not best in horsepower, it's not best in torque, and it's not best in, well, if you're looking at it on paper, this is why these reviews are kind of important. If you're looking on paper, you're like, why would I choose this Ram 2500 when the Power Stroke from Ford has more horsepower and more torque and more towing and more payload? And why would I choose that? It's just the whole thing. You have to encompass the whole thing all together. This is an inline 6, perfectly balanced, centered, less component. Probably gonna turn out being a lot more reliable than some other of these components that have to be added to that Power Stroke V8. Also, that 8-speed transmission is not the transmission that's making all the headline lately with issues and everything. The 10-speed transmission is proving to be a little bit problematic these days, and you're hearing it all in the news. So I think, and 20,000 pounds is nothing to shy about. It's plenty, in my opinion. It's just the way you drive that Cummins. The way, well, this one, I mean, it's got the self-leveling air suspension back there, the airbags that we call it, and you know, but if you don't get that, you have the coil suspension. It reduces that axle bounce back that you feel from that solid axle and the leaf spring, so the ride is smoother. And this one particularly, if you load it down and you start towing, you'll definitely feel a difference. It's a smoother ride. The interior, the screen, and all that stuff, it depends which one you're gonna get. You can get the configuration tool, and you have so many options to go on when you go on the website. Definitely go check out the websites, and then comment below which configuration you would go for. I like the Sport hood. I hate everything else about the Sport appearance package, from the chrome to the chrome wheels and all that stuff. So I would definitely play around with the configuration tool and come up with something really nice. Probably not this particular model, $120,000. I don't need a subwoofer in the back of my truck or anything like that. But I want to hear you guys. What are you guys coming up with? I really appreciate you guys watched our video. Try to leave a comment, press that like, think about subscribing, and Luke and I will see you guys in the next one.